Nonsense. Why would we be? Oh, ouch! Yeah. Why would we be ready to go live? That's such a silly question. Why in the world would we? Oh, sorry, Katie. Think that we're ready to go live. Hi. Hello there. Yeah, I'm not ready to go live at all. As a matter of fact, I don't even have my drink out here with me. I don't even know why I hit the go live button. I think it was because it was past 9 o'clock, and I was worried that the people would wander off and go watch something else. My golly, there must be something else out there to watch. Well, hello there, good people. Hi, Station here, Green Country Agriculture. Um, Apparently, nobody's joined us on the live stream as of yet. I know it's weird. Monday night, usually I've got a video drop, a regular video going. It's usually like at 8:30. It's not this time of night. I just kind of had to wait to see if we were going to get hit by another wave of thunderstorms before going live. And now the cats think that this is a play toy. So we're going to put this to the side. It's attracting too much interest. So I'm joining you tonight live from the patio with Bilbo and Betty, and there may be some rain in the background. We're kind of hoping to avoid the worst of it. We're watching on the radar. There's bands, like I said, of the thunderstorms passing through, and I was hoping that we might miss this bit. And if we did miss this bit, then we won't have any more until maybe 11:30. But then what the map's showing us for 11:30 is kind of spooky looking, so we won't get into that right now. It's another going to be another night of interesting weather with possible. They're up to grapefruit size hail for the projections now. That's fun to think about. And whenever I start thinking about weather pattern changes, the shifting of the dry line, this incident that we're having this particular spring, where it seems like we're going to get all of our rain at once, and I don't know if we're going to get just a severe drought on the tail end of things, or what the situation is going to be. These times like this, that I'm glad that I've decided to work more perennials into my garden system. Right, whenever comes to dealing with fluctuations in weather patterns, they're a bit more resilient. These things here are some of the flowers that are coming up right now. I just wanted to show you what's blooming at the moment. These whites are yarrow, Achillea milliforum. This is a wild yarrow. This isn't the fancy stuff that has funny colors that you can get at the home and garden center. This is just regular old wild yarrow, and it grows really well. Of course, it's good for fever reducer, allegedly. Not that I'm a doctor or anything. And of course, stopping bleeding with these feathery leaf structures, even when dried as a powder applied directly as a step, it stops bleeding and is reputed to relieve pain on contact as an analgesic, which is kind of nice. Although I believe if you take internally, it may act as a blood thinner, which is the reason why it acts as a fever reducer. So if you're using it for its analgesic properties applied directly to a wound, don't also take it as a tea. You'll be working at cross purposes. Okay, so a couple other plants. Not that I'm a doctor or anything. This is anecdotal stuff. This one here is buckwheat. Isn't that pretty? And this has got all kinds of hoverflies around it during the day. I was trying to get out there with the camera and get some shots of these things out there in the garden, but unfortunately the camera I've got doesn't handle being rained on very well, and we've had nothing but pretty much all week long. So I had to settle for picking some, and we'll just bring it in here whenever it's not raining. For the moment, it doesn't seem to be. So right now, these are flowering, and we have lots of pollinators visiting. And buckwheat is one of these annual plants that I like to plant around because we do get the pollinator support, but also it makes a grain. Well, it's not really a grain. It's a flower seed that you can use like a grain. It's high in protein. So this is a food source for us, a food source for pollinators. The leaves themselves are also edible, not only for us, but livestock can eat them. The ducks can eat them. Your sheep can eat them. Your goats can eat them. Your cattle can eat them. Everybody can eat them. And of course, you can let them start to produce their seed and gather the seed so you can replant later. But the main purpose you want this in your garden for is it absorbs your excess fertility whenever you have too much going on, too much nitrogen. This is a problem, right? You have too much nitrogen. Whenever you have decomposition happening, proteins breaking down, or nitrogen being released into the soil, It's water soluble. There's too much of it. It leaves your garden if it has the opportunity to wash away. But if you've got something like a buckwheat around, it will soak that up. And then whenever you're done with the buckwheat, you just cut it down, let it decompose back into the soil, and it will release that fertility right back into the soil again whenever you need it at a later date. Easy to propagate. The only complaint I really have about it is the seeds become mature at a different rate. So you'll have flowers form and seeds form, and they'll reach maturity, and they're ready to harvest, but there's still flowers forming. So whenever you start pulling the seeds off, the mature seeds off, there will be flowers still forming. It's a little bit annoying about it, but you can kind of get used to it. This pretty little flower right here, do you see the purple? This one is Metacago sativa, or alfalfa. Vicky says, I didn't see any onions on your sale list. When will they be available again? If you look at any one of my regular videos at the bottom, not this one because it's alive right now, but after it's done being alive, at the bottom of the screen, there's a link for Shopify where we have everything for sale. Everything's on for sale right now for $15 on our web store, Shopify store. Not through the Wix website. We're getting ready to phase that one out. It's a choice. I either pay $30 for the Wix website, and I don't have the ability to present products through YouTube with Google, or I pay $30 a month to Shopify, and I can present products to the people who are viewers on that little shelf right underneath the video. And that's just more convenient for me to put it out there so that people who are watching can go, oh, he was just talking about the onion. Let me go buy that onion. They can go click on it and buy it. So if you look at any of the regular videos, you'll see the shopping option underneath there. And that's where they're for sale right now. Anyway, so here we go. This one is Medicago sativa, the alfalfa plant. I keep on talking about don't buy the alfalfa pellets, right? Because that's the big deal with the gardeners. Buy the alfalfa pellets, supercharge your compost, use them as a fertilizer. It's a growth hormone. It's great for your garden. All that stuff is true, except the other thing is true, which is this is a perennial plant. It's easy to get established. It really is. You might have to take a couple tries of direct sowing before you finally get something to go. I mixed 2 or 3 varieties together and broadcast sowed, and then got a whole bunch, and then it's just a question of thinning them out. And now they're kind of spreading a little bit. So now I've got a source of this alfalfa here. I have this all the time. Whenever it gets out of hand, I can cut it back and use it just like you'd use the alfalfa pellets. And also I can feed it to can't feed it to the ducks. The ducks don't like to eat alfalfa for some reason, but I can feed it to rabbits. So I can use this as an animal fodder. I can use this as a fertilizer. I can use it as the growth hormone for stimulating growth of my other plants. And of course, it's a weed now, and I have to do something about managing it, which means I have an endless supply. All right, moving on. We saw Achilles mellifolium. We saw Medicago sativa. We saw I can't recall what the binomial for buckwheat is. So these are some of the things that we have growing out there. Incidentally, yarrow is really great for breaking up clay soil. It's a perennial. Good for breaking up clay soil. All right, on to the food, right? Future of food. I'll tell you what, for breakfast today, I had a duck egg omelet with 1 duck egg, a single strip of bacon, and some Egyptian walking onions. Very simple, ordinary omelet. 1 duck egg is fairly filling. If you're in need of a lot, just go ahead and have 2. We have 5 laying hens at the moment. We lost one during the storms last week. Sorry about the wind if it gets noisy. Sorry about that. We lost one during the storms, like I reported on the video last week, Monday. So we're down to 5, but 5 hens, 5 eggs. Ducks are egg-laying machines once they start going. And they're so easy to keep fed. We're working on developing a fodder system for them, so I don't really have to worry about buying feed anymore. We just let them go out and eat. And the things that they eat are the things that we need them to eat to keep our gardens weeded and to keep the pests down. And if we do the right things, we can have them with a fodder in the winter that they can get to. It keeps the amount of feed that I have to produce at a minimum. And times like right now, I can go out and I can harvest the lamb's quarter, cut it, chop it, dry it to a certain point, run it through the grist mill, And then whenever I'm ready, bring it back, get a little bit of sugar going in, ferment it just a little bit, and then run it through the pelletizer. And we have pelletized feed with the lamb's quarter and other things that we mix in, maybe a little bit of cereal grains and other stuff, corn or wheat that we can mix in to make pelletized feed for the ducks during the time of year whenever there isn't any fodder growing, right? I've got the pelletizer, all that stuff. I had a strip of bacon. We don't produce the bacon, but we can always arrange with the guy who does to make sure that we have it. Everybody seems to like trees and fresh produce and stuff like that. Of course, we have our breakfast supplemented today with strawberries. These are from the Albion Everbearing strawberry that we grow. We have two varieties of strawberry. One is a June-bearing strawberry, All-Star, which is very common, June-bearing strawberry. It produces all of its strawberries at once, big set of strawberries, a whole bunch of fruit. These are, Bert over here is saying, I'm in Collinsville on Weather Watch, hanging out in the shop. Good luck. Yeah, it's barely passing by us right now. There's a bit passing, like a little tag passing to the south, and then the bulk of it is passing over to the north. So I'm just in the spot where the storm went. And I was like, if it doesn't hit us for this bit, I'll go live. And if it does, then I guess you guys are just gonna have to wait until the storms clear up. But it looks like we're going to be clear until maybe about 11 to 11:30, unless things change drastically. Anyway, Albion Everbearing strawberry. This is actually about average size for them compared to my thumb. You can see the size of my thumb there. About average size for them. Since this is an everbearing strawberry, it makes one or two flowers and fruit at a time. It grows it, and since it's only one or two growing at a time, it can grow them pretty big if you've got a good fertilizing regimen, like you like to water your strawberries whenever they're flowering. You water them with your duck water, like we do. Then they grow and they make nice big strawberries as long as you get enough. Good Lord, outdoors people. Oh, they're running dirt bikes. That's what they're doing. All right, so you get these, and they come off and on throughout the growing season. So I don't know how many I'm going to have at any given time. I'm usually just going to have a few every day. Sometimes it's too many. But if I don't pick them with a little bit of the white still on them, then it's a race against the pill bugs, the isopods, because they'll eat them. And these were growing in an area where I don't have ducks patrolling. Ducks don't eat strawberry plants, but they do eat pill bugs. So I'm adding them to my little islands with the trees and such, little mulberry trees, goji berry. There's a flowering quince. Here's a pecan tree. There's a chinkapin hazelnut. And on the ground, we've got strawberries. Ducks eat the strawberry plants. I don't know if they'll eat the strawberry fruit. They might. We'll have to see. I've tossed them out there, and they haven't showed a whole lot of interest in them. So that's promising. We'll hope. They haven't showed an interest in the onions either. So we'll see. We can eat these. And they're not incredibly sweet, but they are definitely sweet enough. With lots of vitamin C. Kind of tart towards the backside. But yeah, those are great this time of year. But it was kind of a race between whether it would be the strawberries that came right first or the mulberries that came right first. That's a mulberry from one of our Morus rubra, red mulberry tree. And unfortunately, this is the only one that has survived to this point because the rest of them I ate. Either I ate them or they'd already fallen off the tree and they're on the ground under the tree. And I was looking underneath the tree. A little bit of wind, sorry. And train. I don't know what you can hear most of, but we got the wind and the train going at the same time. So they're starting to come right. This entire week, it's rained every day. Every day, I've not been able to go out and do anything, guys. I have not been able to go out and shoot video. Rain is wrecking the camera. I took it out once, and now the camera, the screen's all messed up. hopefully it's just the screen. It's not affecting the image. I downloaded a little video that was shot and it looks okay. So hopefully it is. But we just haven't had good weather for doing any outdoor video activity all this week. So I haven't been able to show you anything. And really, I've just been hunkering down and just going, okay, I've got projects I want to work on. There's about 4 or 5 going on at once. We've got the cat tractor in the process of being constructed out there. We've got the pieces together. It's in construction. Can't show you any of that because wet. I've got new block wall ordered in to put a retaining wall on the south side of the house so that we can start working on bringing that under control, make it tamed and organized. Can't work on that. I can't even work on that at all until it dries out because I'm going to have to remove the pavers and the sidewalk and re-level those and put in a step and some other, well, at least one step and some other stuff. Possibly add a handrail just in case because I am adding a step. It might be a safety hazard. Okay, cool. Vicky says the train's in the background and I'm loud and clear. Thank you. So whenever I got out there and I saw that the mulberry tree was not only making berries, but they'd already started to ripen, and some of them have already started to fall from the tree because they get to the point where they get too ripe to fall. So I went, oh, well, shucks. I'm missing out on my mulberries. I'm going to eat this one real quick. It's just like a blackberry, but no thorns. Yeah, don't have to worry about thorns. Forest rhubarb, the red mulberry, makes a lot of them. It can be a really big tree if you don't prune it back, though. Grow 25, 30 foot easy, maybe 40. However, if you prune them diligently and make them bushes with lots of horizontal branches, well, you want to have a lot of verticals coming up from your stool. So cut it back severely, prune it back severely, prune it back a lot. So you get a lot of verticals. And then make sure that you train your horizontals off of that because that's where all your fruits are going to come from, all this horizontal. And then you get a whole bunch of mulberries. And you can eat them fresh, delicious fresh. Juice them, feed them to the animals. And I've found out that if you do have mulberries over where your ducks are eating and the berries fall to the ground, the ducks love them. All right, so it was either the mulberry or the next one to start fruiting. Have to keep an eye on that cat because if the wind blows that door back and forth, hang on. Okay, there you go, kitty. Sorry about that. My apologies, guys. The wind was threatening to cause the door to snap back and forth there, and there's an adventurous kitten that wants to go inside instead of staying out here on the porch where it's nice and safe. Like this smart kitty is good. She's smart. All right, let me not show you this one because I'd like you to be able to see the berry. This is called a goumi. Goumi, goumi berry, and if I can hold still long enough, you see the tiny little silver speckles on the surface of the skin there? I hope you can see them. Maybe you can. Get close to the camera. A little closer. That's about as close as I can get. There we go. All right, so these are just starting to come ripe. Just starting. This is goumi berry, Goumi, goumi or Elaeagnus multiflora. That's the name of it. It's like an autumn olive. It is an Elaeagnus, but unlike autumn olive, it doesn't grow out of control. It doesn't sucker readily. That one was just so totally ripe. It just went to juice. Except for the seed. You get a seed out of them. Let's see. The seed's edible, but I want to plant them. That was perfectly ripe. Very juicy, very tart though. So yeah, and Vicky is saying goumi is a nitrogen fixture. It is. Now I've explored a little bit with these, and if you have a really shady spot, this is not the tree for that. It needs to have at least some sunlight. You can put it like on a somewhat shaded edge, but it needs to get a certain amount of direct sun every day for it to prosper, grow big, and set fruit. But there we go. There's a couple of these. They're not quite as big as a cherry, but they're sweet and they're tart, and you can dry these up like raisins. And if you wanted to, one of the things that we'll probably wind up doing with these eventually is making a nut pemmican, kind of like a vegan pemmican. We take these, we dry them up completely, grind them up, take goji berry, which is flowering right now. We're not making fruit, but it's flowering right now. Hi, Bill. It's flowering right now. I'm going to take gojis, and we'll dry those into raisins, grind those up along with toasted pecans, maybe some almonds. We have an almond tree that's growing out here. Pecan trees we have growing out here. Hazelnuts, which we have growing. No nuts yet, unfortunately. Not chestnuts. We do have chinkapin, which is like a dwarf chestnut, but not chestnuts. Chestnuts are more of a carbohydrate, so you'd want to roast them and eat them fresh rather than put them into it like a pemmican or trail bar. Pemmican trail bar stuff, you want more fats and proteins, and you get that from the other tree nuts. I guess I could throw peanuts into it too because we grow those in the understory. But grind those up together, put in those fruits, and you might need to add maybe a little puff amaranth or something for a little additional stabilizer. I think possibly the way I'd like to do it is run the nuts through an oil expeller first to reduce the oil content. Because part of the reason that you wind up having problems with so your long-term storage of trail food is if you have oils in it, eventually oils do go rancid, regardless of what you do. Once the seal's broken, you can have it sealed or have modified, hermetically sealed, vacuum sealed, modified atmosphere packaging, or what have you. Once air starts interacting with it, if there's oil presence, you've got maybe 6 months before it starts going bad. So if we can get most of the oils out, that will reduce that, and then it'll make it more protein, less fat in the mix. Of course, then you have your berries for your vitamins, minerals, etc. Strawberries won the race, guys. So right now it's strawberries. Oh shoot, strawberries, mulberries, and gummy berries that we have. That are the edible fruits right now. I've got edible fruit. I've got all kinds of edible greens, including the onions that I put in my omelet this morning. The future of food. If you're wanting to go and get it from the shelves on the grocery store and have it stocked up, probably might be a good idea. But eventually that sort of stuff runs out. So if you're looking for the store to feed you, the future of good may not, or future food may not be great. But if you've got it growing in your yard, I'd say the future of food's pretty good. I mean, you could try some, Kitty, but you probably wouldn't like it. All right. So out back, we have this thing growing. And earlier, the cats were looking at it like it was a play toy. We might still use it for a play toy. Does anybody know what this plant here is? Carolyn Spootboard says, hi, Jason, didn't expect to see you on a Monday night. I didn't expect to be on a Monday night. I actually wanted to have a regular video that I shot, but I couldn't really get any footage during the course of the week because of rain, every day, rain. And so, including Wednesday night, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna go live in the middle of a thunderstorm. You wouldn't be able to hear anything. And so tonight I was looking at the forecast and watching the storm bands come up and went, okay, there's a chance like right after 9, somewhere in between 9 and 11, we're gonna have, well, maybe a little wind, but not thunderstorm. So we'll just go live then if we have that shot. And so it came out. I harvested this. It's a little early to be harvested, but let me get the thing close to the camera and hopefully you can see that. There we go. So this is one of the things that we're growing in the backyard. I know it seems weird, right? that is wheat. And it's not ready to harvest yet. But at this stage, the blades of grass, it is grass, are tough. The ducks don't want to eat it. And for some reason, they don't seem to know that this is really something that they can eat also. So this is the winter white wheat. You can see how that, let's get this close enough to the camera so you can get it really good. How that feed head looks at this stage. Look at that thing. So all those little kernels you can see that are, well, they're not developing now, but they were. There's like it's just a band of them across, a band of them across there. Lots and lots and lots of wheat kernels. And Betty thinks that this is a cat toy. Yes, she does. She thinks it's a cat toy. Okay, you can play with it. There you go. Oh, she got it. She got it. So the ducks don't eat it, but the cats do. Here you go. What? No? She's like, no, you didn't want me playing with it a minute ago. Now you want me to play with it. I'm not enticed. All right, fine. You can't play with it. It's mine. How do you like them apples? Mine. You can't play with it. You can't play with it. You can't play with it. You can't play with it, Bill. You can't play with it. You can't play with it. You can't play with it. It's not yours. No. You can't play with it. Okay, Betty. Okay, so wheat, aside from being an impromptu cat toy, is a cereal grain, right? We can take this, and although the ducks aren't interested in eating it whenever it's a mature plant, they only nibble on it when it's young and tender. We can harvest the grain whenever it matures, use the straw for bedding, and put this in the feed pellets that we give them whenever we can't give them fresh bugs and other stuff. Oh yeah, we can eat wheat too. That's we can eat this stuff. And we can eat the corn too that the ducks are getting ready to go out into. I haven't been able to show you that. It's almost to the point where I can put the ducks out there, but I have to have some clear weather to make more fence panels. I have to take the fence panels. I've got the panels, and the chicken netting, the poultry netting. I've got the netting, but just putting the two together takes an afternoon whenever it's. I don't want to handle the stuff when there's lightning coming out outside. Not fun. I don't want to be handling large metal things whenever there's thunderstorms going on. So I'm just sort of waiting until we have a clear day. Hopefully, like next week, we'll have it, and then I can move the ducks out there. But at the moment, we have some corn that's getting close to 4 foot, and that's cool. You know how they say you want your corn to be knee high by the 4th of July? Oh no, guys! By 4th of July, we'll be roasting ears of corn. And they won't be coming from Mexico. They'll be coming from our backyard. This stuff comes up pretty good. But as Picky saying, wood sorrel is good in moderation. It's lots of oxalate. It's not good. Yeah. Your sorrels, your high oxalate, and also spinach too. Your high oxalate greens, if you cook them, it destroys the oxalate, and it makes it not present a problem for you. But high oxalate veggies, use in moderation in a salad. You have to eat a lot of spinach though before the oxalate in it gives you trouble. But keep in mind that if you're a salad junkie and you eat nothing but spinach, and you eat a whole bunch of raw spinach, you could give yourself potentially a kidney stone from eating a whole bunch of it. But that would be the extreme case. You have to eat a whole bunch. Vicky says, for what it's worth, I've been praying for your safety, both of you. Thank you very much. The place where we are, the way the topography is situated, we are on a river valley where the river, if you can imagine this, okay, it'd be easier if I drew you a picture, but the river there's a line of hills on this side here. And okay, so this is to the west of us. Line of hills that the river has to bend around and then come back this way. And what that does is if there is a tornado that forms that approaches this formation, it has to either go all the way around on the far side of the river and another set of hills that's a few miles to the south of us, or it has to go around all the way around the other side of the river, double back, and then come back on this side of the hill. So it has to do a really convoluted thing in order for it to actually get to where we are. Now, that doesn't mean that if we have a storm that's this, like, sky turns green and it's the middle of the afternoon, pitch black, but it's lit from the inside, there's enough energy in that storm system that it can just go drop a funnel right down there and get you. I mean, if it wants to, it will, and there's nothing you can do about it. But usually, spin ups, whenever they approach where we are, will veer off one way or the other. And if it was a big enough storm that it could, then you'd need to be praying for people in a very, very broad radius, because it would be a monster, or like a real monster. Want me to play here? Anyway, Billy was talking about wood sorrel. Yeah, wood sorrel is nice in moderation because it has a very, very, very sharp acid bite to it, and it does. It tastes an awful lot like lemon. But yeah, you'd have to eat a whole lot of it before it gives you kidney stones. Just nibbling on a little bit, it's not going to hurt you. So, Ellie Agnes, we can still plant this one. Whenever it gets closer to being ripe, should separate from that stem pretty readily. This one, the stem separated from the branch whenever I tugged on it. So it was like, okay, yeah, it's not quite ripe. Whenever it gets to full ripeness, and you'll be able to tell because they'll just start dropping from the bush. They'll come away very easily whenever you just tug, and they'll separate from the stem like that. And this one isn't. It's going to slip the skin off, so you can see how juicy the berry is. It's so juicy. And it's pretty sweet. There's a little bit of, maybe a tiny bit of bitterness, possibly, in the skin itself. There's very, very thin skin. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe a tiny little bit of a tannin aftertaste or something in the skin. Not much. Not even as much as you have in a like a full on Concord, like full red Concord grape, because that has quite a bit of tannin in the skin too. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like tasting a tart grape or a tart cherry. Yeah, but since what time is it? Almost 10. Okay, we might have a few more minutes before it picks up. I want to take the equipment inside before it really starts going. The screen will stop a lot of rain, but if it's coming in sideways, then things will get wet. And sometimes it'll come in like sideways. Occasionally it's hail coming in sideways, and well, now we've got hardware cloth, so at least we won't get hit in the face. Planted out sweet corn. I'm reading Billy's here. Planted out sweet corn and bush beans the other day. Made watermelon mound to plant. Used a tire to fill. First bug problems have arrived. Flea beetles on the eggplants, of course, and squishing them. Flea beetles and wheel bugs. Or wheel bugs are a good foil to them, but it's early for the wheel bugs. So if you have sunflower center planted in the areas where you're likely to get the flea beetles or the potato bugs or squash bugs, that helps out quite a bit. But you have to wait until those are coming up. It's possible, and I don't know if it is the case, but it's possible that Helianthus tuberosa, Jerusalem artichoke, may attract the wheel bug as well. If it does, those are coming up right now. So you may have the opportunity to get wheel bugs into your garden earlier with some of those things. Otherwise, plant sunflowers, and then as the heat comes, at least you'll have another control predator. in the mix. Yay. Hi, kitties. Are you having fun? Are you enjoying your cat castle there? You are. Okay. I've got, lots of projects in the works. Their cat tractor is about 90% put together. I've got to finish securing the netting on the outside of it. It's one of these metal cylinder metal pole affairs put together. Poles about that big around, like 10 poles. If I did this with 2x2s, it would take a little bit more space on the ground. So we got this, and it's a little bit larger than really I need it to be. It could be a bit taller, I think, but it's a bit larger than it needs to be. And I've got a wired CCTV camera set up to stream on Bilbo's channel. We got little streaming camera software to go along with it. I'm trying to figure out how to get some music in there too, so we can have like a little bit of music going in the background, so it won't just be camera on a cat all day. But that should be fun. And you could probably watch the oh my goodness, I didn't bring them out here with me. You can watch the cannas grow. Can you guys indulge me for a moment? I'm gonna do the horrible thing that you should never do, which is to walk away from the camera during a live stream and grab something, because I have a cup here full of some plants that I really wanted to show you guys, and ooh, do you hear the wind? Sounds mean through that screen, doesn't it? I wanted to show this to you, but I forgot to bring it out. So give me a second here. I'm going to grab some interesting plants that I found while I was working on the cat tractor. I'll be right back. I had to move them, but I'm saving them. Hang on. I'll be right back. All right, where did I put you? Woohoo! You hear that wind? Oh, we got a tree frog out there that's optimistic. Sorry about that. Yeah, we have 7 people disappear while I walk away. The sound of my wind drowned out by my frogs. Cool. Nice. We've got frogs out there right now. There's one of them that's kind of optimistic. I'm liking not being in front of a green screen for a change. Actually, it's pleasant to not have to wear the red hat if I don't feel like wearing the red hat. If I want to show you something that has leaves on it, you can see the leaves, and I don't have to turn the screen off. So, yeah, no silence in the night. Getting this area screened off though has been nice. Whenever winter comes, we can put plastic up over here on the top, and I can have a heater out here, and I can do a stream out here. And also, whoever's in the front room can carry on with whatever they're doing, and I won't be interrupting them. So people can do living room stuff and living quarter stuff, not have to retreat to their bedrooms just because Jason's doing a live stream. So that'll be nice. I'm making up some instant coffee. If you guys will bear with me just a moment. This is the BioWells 2-in-1 goji and euphemia extract. Of course, goji berries, it's like a multivitamin, it's great stuff. Euphemia is the hardy rubber tree, grows in zone 7. One of these days I will have my own. I don't know about all of its effects, but guys, you may have noticed that I've lost some weight, right? I can't say 100% that the extract of the hardy rubber tree is entirely responsible for the weight loss. I mean, quitting drinking soda pop, most sugars, carbohydrates, beer helped out quite a bit. But as far as some other things like stamina, vigor, etc., things related to, particularly for older gentlemen, testosterone, right, seem to be affected by euphemia. Seem to be. I will say it's antidote, not medical advice, just seems to be. Healing picks back up, metabolism picks back up, start burning calories instead of going keep a little bounce in your step. It's nice. The belly disappears. The belly disappears. It's very nice when the belly disappears. Of course, part of that has to do with switching up the diet a bit, eating more of the things that grow in the yard, our own strawberries, our own fruits, our own nuts, our own berries, our own eggs from our own ducks. Eventually our own wheat. Will I make bread? Will I make pancakes? I don't know. I don't know. I might just save enough to plant for cover crop and let the ducks graze some of that, and then save enough of the seed to do it all over again. Because just keeping that winter wheat in the ground in the winter has done wonders for the soil where it was planted. The soil looks great. It still looks great. I mean, it's kept it alive. I can go and I can plant anything I want to into it right now. It will take off and grow. So when the ducks get into the corn, I'm going to go out there and do a little bit of planting everything in there and see what happens. But over the winter, we're definitely going to have to put some winter wheat out onto where the corn patch is, and let the ducks go out there and graze that too. It's gonna keep the soil in better condition. As it is, I tried to put daikon radish out just right just right before the corn is coming up, so we could get some tillage in, and mixed results. It's doing okay, but I think I'd be happier if I was just top killing my cover and planting the corn and nothing else right at this particular stage. So anyway, have I heard Red Skelton's rendition? This is Vicky asking for people that can't read the chat. Have you ever heard Red Skelton's rendition of Frogs? It's to take off Rudyard Kipling's boots. No, I don't recall hearing that one. Nope. Can't say as I do. I recall something from Burl Ives about a fox. And I've determined that it's not a good idea for me to get my my guitar out on the patio with this particular camera and microphone setup, because it doesn't sound good at all. I might just record something and play it for you. That might be better. But I don't have anything recorded to play for you, and I don't want to fiddle with the mouse right now or anything. These particular plants right here, before it gets all windy and nasty and gross, the light starts coming and the wind starts blowing and the roof flies away and the screen goes dark. These are Canna indica ex purpurea. So it's the purple leafed variant of Canna indica or Canna edulis, also called Indian shot or Shira. These will grow from anywhere from 6 to 9 foot tall, and they produce rhizomes that are massive, starchy, and a great substitute for potatoes if you live in a place where it's hard to grow potatoes. Places where you have your heat come on just a little bit too quick in the spring, or not linger long enough in the fall for you to grow a potato crop. Well, you can grow these. Now, the interesting thing about these is they are a tropical plant originally. Well, actually, they're from South America originally. They're typically thought of as being a tropical plant. They're actually an Andes mountain plant. So they can take a lot cooler temperatures than you might think. Now, overwintering in the ground, usually they don't do so well. Most cannas don't. From zone 7 north, if you're in the northern hemisphere, 7 south in the southern hemisphere. So 7, 8, 9, 10, you're fine. Keep them in the ground. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, they don't do so well on the ground. So you can grow them, but you have to take them up and bring them in. Pack them on some moistened peat moss, not wet peat moss, just moistened peat moss. As a matter of fact, if you rinse the dirt off of them, the water that's on them after you rinse the dirt off of them, when you put them in the peat moss, that's enough. Just put them in peat moss, you're good. They'll keep over the winter. All right. So most of the time you grow them from the roots, but if you look closely at these guys, what do you see? That is the seed that these have germinated and grown from. I have 3 canna seedlings. So these were the seeds fell out there in the front yard garden area where we grew these last year, and I prepped the ground and got it ready. I put all the stuff in there that I do for soil prep. The buckwheat flowers out there are just lovely right now, and the cannas are coming up. And I had to move some because the cat tractor is in the way. And I was like, okay, I'm going to move the cannas around. And then I realized that, oh my gosh, a couple of these are not growing from roots at all. These are growing from the seeds. And that means, this is the exciting part. Let me put these away. Or put them back in the water. Cannas love growing in the water, by the way. If you have them in a marsh, they'll be happy canna plants. But what this means, if I can grow them from seeds instead of from rhizomes, is that these are genetically reproduced. These guys genetically reproduced, as opposed to growing from the rhizomes, which are just clones of the plant that you already had before. The plant we already had before, Canna indica expurpurea, grows really well in zone 7, can grow further north, and can winter in the ground here in zone 7 a little bit. Not great, a little bit. Last winter, horrible winter. We got into below -5 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures. Horrible for this particular plant. Doesn't like it at all. Killed off most of the commercial cannas. Okay. But these guys, since they're very, very close to the wild original, said, yeah, okay, so it's a cold night out here in the Andes Mountains. We're going to lose some of our mass, but we're going to come back in the spring. And they did. But also, since the seeds germinated under those conditions, I know that these plants, the ones that grow from these seeds that have germinated right there, have had the genes activated in them to tolerate colder temperatures. That means that these plants may winter in the ground better than the parent plants that they were bred from. So we're going to take these and separate them, grow them out in a different spot, and monitor them for their hardiness into the winters. Hopefully we'll have winters that are comparable and maybe not quite as cold as last one, but comparable for a couple of winters to see how they do. We'll get the seeds from those and try to get those to germinate as well. Now, the method for germination is interesting because canna seeds are hard as buckshot. They are solid, rock hard. I mean, hard. One of the reasons why they're called Indian shot is because in India, whenever this plant made it to India, it originated in the Andes. It's the vegetable crop. The rhizomes, the roots, are a starch source, and they're a massive starch source. I mean, massive, better than potatoes. Massive, lots of calories. Whenever it made it to India, they were growing them, and they started using them as a substitute for arrowroot, for starch, to make those clear cellophane or glass noodles with. That's whenever you see those in Eastern cuisine, you have those very clear noodles that sometimes it's rice, most of the time it's canna starch. But whenever they made it there, they discovered, wow, you can take the seeds and you can put them in your shotgun and use them as buckshot. And so they called it Indian shot for a common name, because in India they were using the seed of the canna for buckshot. Anyway, fun story. What I'm trying to say is it's a very hard seed. Getting water to soak into that seed coat so that it'll germinate and start growing, one would think would require a bit of effort. Maybe scoring, running across rocks or sand, or being rubbed with gravel in a river while it's getting washed downstream. Remember, they love water. They like to grow next to water. So growing in areas that flood and aquatics seem to go hand in hand. Maybe getting tumbled by the river to roughen up the surface so the water can get in to get it to germinate. Maybe that would work. But something else seems to work too. Apparently, you can get enough water infiltration in that if you get a good hard freeze, cracks the shell too. So these are maybe originally adapted with the idea that the stream will rough up the seed, and whenever it gets deposited somewhere, it'll start a new colony. But it turns out a hard freeze will do it too. So having trouble getting your cannas to germinate, something to try out. Soak them until they sink, freeze them hard, and then try getting them to germinate. Give that a shot. I know, right? Craziness, but give it a shot. You may be able to freeze crack them. And who knows? That might just be the thing that makes them them want to grow more up into the northern climates. Yeah, like Brian up there in Minnesota. You guys can grow cannas. You just have to bring them in. You can't let them overwinter. These ones, maybe these ones you might be able to leave in the ground. Their grandchildren, maybe might be able to move those to the point where you can grow them further north. So what's the future of food, right? Things that we can grow in our yards, things that we have control of, things that we can manage. I think we want to be moving more towards having more access, more hands-on to our food supply. Don't you? Just in case there's more farms bought up by companies that don't know anything about farming. Just in case more regulations appear that limit the amount of fuel that farmers can use to grow crops or transport crops. Just in case more regulations appear that limit what they can use to fertilize. Might be nice to know that you've got all of your fruits and vegetables coming up around you. So right now we got strawberries, and we got the gumi, and we've got the mulberry. We've got flowers on our blackberries. Oh, sorry, I'm leaning back out of the picture. We got flowers on the blackberries over there on the side of the driveway. We've got pears on the Bartlett pear tree. I'm gonna have to pick some pears off so it doesn't break limbs. We always get too many. The Anjou pear in the backyard. What is this, third year that we've had? This is its third year. Saw a couple of blooms, but no fruit. So probably next year we'll start to see fruit from that. That'll be fruit from 2 pear trees. Once they get a couple of years on them, it gets crazy. Fruit from 1 pear tree is more than a family of 5 need. Really, it is. And we'll have 2. And I've thought about getting a third one because there's 3 different types of pear that you usually can have. Communis prunus, 3 different varieties that you could have. There's the Bartlett, there's the Anjou or Anjou, and then there's another one I can't recall it off the top of my head. Eventually, I'd like to have just a graft with all 3 on a pear. So we'll get pears started. Either I'll get one going from the cutting, or I'll get one going from seed. And then if it's from cutting, then I just have to do 2 grafts and get the other 2 varieties on. If it's from seed, then we'll just graft all 3 varieties on. And then you can have a pear tree that has all the pears you need, because like I said, 1 pear tree, whenever it gets fully developed, is all the fruit you need. Really, it is. So instead of having to have 2 or 3 different pear trees to cross-pollinate, and 2 or 3 different varieties to get your best cross-pollination, you can have 1 pear tree that has 3 different varieties on it, and that 1 pear tree is all the pears you will need for 1 household. That's in development. Out there right now, the pecans are coming up. That's kind of fun. I planted a whole bunch of pecans under the pecan tree in the front yard, and then during the eclipse, I went to the future catfish pond area. I don't know if it's going to be catfish. It might wind up being long-eared sunfish. Just just so we can have fun fishing for sunfish. And yeah, fishing for sunfish is fun. It's for amusement. Um, so we have a pond area in the north. What is this? The northeast side over here. Well, it's a future pond area, and I dug down to the point where I got to that sandstone. It's like it's not sand. It's sand that's compacted to the point where it's really soft sandstone more than sand. And so you're digging and you think you're hitting a rock and you're not. It's just the sand's that compacted. Crazy, right? Crazy. It's hard. Roots don't go through it, but the water drains away instantly. It's terrible. But that's that's what we're sitting on top of in some place. Clay here, sandstone over there. So until I have the box wall set up, I can't really dig it out. Last night I was sitting up because can't do anything with the rain coming. It's like, what do? I want a garden. I can't go out and garden. So I set up with the paint program, and I was kind of sketching what I wanted the box wall area in the backyard to look like. I kind of wanted to go from there, have a little walkway, and then have a pond, and then from there a place to flush out of the pond into the rest of the garden. So it's kind of going to be a step up towards the fence line and step down towards the center of the garden with the ponds next to it. Crazy ambitious, right? I got to work out how in the world I'm going to afford to pour all that concrete. It's a lot of concrete. Oh, this coffee is good. Tasty coffee. Num num. All right, so blackberries will be coming on before too long. Got the pears coming. Peaches are coming. I didn't see any plums this year, so we got an Ozark plum, and we've got like a June Gold dessert plum. It's kind of like a green gauge, only instead of being green, the plums are gold. They're going to be like that big, like a little bit bigger than a marble, size of an everlasting gobstopper, maybe about that big. Really, really sweet. We only had a few flowers out this year, so this is their, I think, second year. Last year, the Seminole pumpkins overran them and broke branches and almost tore them apart. So this year, we're going to keep the pumpkins away. We're going to move the pumpkin further back. That's the other thing I need to do. I got out. I snuck out. What was it, yesterday? During a break in the rain. No, day before yesterday, during a break in the rain, and I was sneaking peanuts in. There are some spots where I just took the shells where the nuts, where the plant had been, and we pulled the plant out. The nuts, they'd stayed there over winter and just shoved the shell down into the ground. And some of those started to germinate and started to grow. So hopefully after a couple of years of doing that, we'll have nativized peanuts. We just harvest every other plant. They'll keep themselves going in the understory. They're on the edge where you have sunlight edge. They're a jungle plant originally, but they should be used to growing in the forest. But I struck out there and I put the peanuts in. There's something stuck between the teeth. I think it's a skin for gummy berry. I got it out. All right. Brian said, "Don't worry about a thing. The Troop 530 New Hope, Minnesota is with you." Oh my goodness. My hope is eventually those two plums will cross pollinate and they'll bear fruit. They're still getting adjusted. The two jujubes that we've got are still doing good. The one that was tiny when I first started, still a tiny twig, is the cocoa jujube. It's called cocoa because the fruit is supposed to have a taste a little bit like coconut. Kind of cool, but it's a jujube. They have a distinctive kind of date-like flavor whenever they mature, and they can preserve themselves. They can dry themselves on the tree, which is also kind of cool. So you got a food that preserves itself. Always big in my book. We'll probably want to pluck them and bring them in out of the rain to get them to dry. Other than that, they should be fairly easy to dry in and preserve. And that's another thing that we can mix up with nuts and stuff like that for for rations. Yum yum. But eating flowers, eating nuts and berries, eating fish, eating eggs, eating a lot more stuff that I grow in my yard. I don't know, guys. Is it working? Is it working? The weight coming off? Do I look like I'm in better health, better shape? Aside from, pulling my shoulder, chasing after chickens, which is a dumb move on my part. Uh, oh, yeah. Billy says, winter killed a celestial fig. Figs are, yeah. I've got a fig growing right there. It's growing back from the roots. It died off, of course, during the winter. They always die off during the winter. Oh, pardon me. I'm wearing sweatpants and things are catching. There we go. Figs here always die off in the winter. It's zone 7A, but our winters get really, really cold. And whenever we go down, past zero, it's okay, figs are going to die. But they grow back from the roots. Some years they grow back from the roots and you get figs. And then most years they grow back from the roots and you get a little fig plant, and nothing. So, yeah, it's a bummer about the figs, but I'm about getting up on them. Maybe one day we'll see one that can handle it out here, but today's mainly for folks that have more temperate winters. Now here we get some plant, it wants to grow. I reckon it can grow anywhere. That was kind of the hope that I had for those pecans when I planted them out there in that spot there where the ground is like sandstone, barely soft sandstone. Water wicks away from it. Following bitter cold winter, where those pecans, the shells that I planted, the seeds I planted, were left out for the freeze. So they've been through a -7 degrees Fahrenheit freeze, exposed, and then in the ground. Then under these circumstances, the idea behind seed programming is whenever you expose your seeds to just the worst possible conditions that they can germinate in, and you give them just enough to germinate. That first adventurous root that comes forth, whenever it hits, it acts like a sensor, and it tells the cells in the rest of the seed that haven't decided what they're going to do yet. It tells them, hey, this is the situation. We don't really have soil. We've got kind of like a soft spot and some sandstone here. You're going to have to grow a vigorous taproot. There's not a whole lot of nutrients. As a matter of fact, it's sand. You're growing in sandstone. There's no nutrients. You're going to have to adjust to that sort of situation. It's been bitterly cold. I don't know how you're going to survive the winter unless you can manage to compensate for bitter cold temperatures. So we're going to switch those genes on. And whenever you do this, whenever the seeds germinate under those conditions, those genes switch. If the seed germinates under those conditions and grows, then you know that it has the gene switched on to say, hey, we're going to grow under these circumstances. So that's where I put the pecans. I put them in the worst possible conditions I could locally here. And then if they can manage to make it there, and I've got a sprinkler so I can give them regular water, they won't dry out. They at least won't dry out. If they can make it there until it's time for me to relocate them in the fall, I can relocate them into our pots, and they can wait going off to sale as bare root plants, and they can overwinter. I found out how to overwinter them, and wherever they wind up, they're going to be happy. They're going to think that it's paradise, the greatest place on earth, and they're going to grow like nuts. Well, they are nuts, but they'll grow really vigorously. That's the hope. So at the moment, we've got about 7 or 8 that have come up over here under the pecan tree. I haven't checked the side over here. I probably have some over there, but I haven't looked. Like I said, it's been raining, all this kind of stuff. And then I looked over here where I put the hard times pecans, as we're calling them, the ones that hopefully they're gonna grow and germinate, and then when we move them, they'll prosper and take off. And so far, I've seen one come up over there, but I planted those a lot later, so that's some progress that they have. In cuttings, I've got rows of Sharon cuttings I've discovered want to grow from vegetative softwood and hardwood cuttings very, very readily. I mean, very, very readily. The technique I had is taking about 6 to 8 inches of twig, couple leaves at the top, stripping everything else off, clipping the bottom, stick it in peat moss, put it under a shady tree, turn the sprinkler on every other day or so just to keep it moist. But it stays with indirect sun, mostly shade, keeping that medium moist but not too wet throughout the summer. By the end of summer, we should have, even by midsummer, we should have lots of roots, lots and lots of roots. So far, mulberries work really well from dormant or softwood cuttings. Either way with that, it looks like the goji berries are almost 100% like that. Flowering quince, dormant cuttings 100%. Softwood cuttings this way maybe about 20%. No rooting hormone though. We're just clipping them and sticking them. That's it. Sticking them in there. That's it. Walking away. Zero effort. No care whatsoever. But the Rose of Sharon, it looks like it wants to go either way. It'll grow from both hardwood or softwood cuttings just like that, which is very, very encouraging. So hopefully we'll have some of those to share with you coming up next year. And right now I'm just like I'm learning how to do some of this stuff. But those hibiscus flowers are edible. Make a nice tea. Mint's coming on. That goes nice in your tea as well, I suppose. I shot some video earlier today, but because it was wet, the file was corrupted. The camera is not really great. Matter of fact, I don't know what's wrong with it. The lighting, it makes me look like I'm glowing or something. Everything else looks good. It just makes me look like I'm glowing. We have to get a new camera. I'm bad on electronics. It's like, why am I glowing iridescent on the screen? No, this is not right. But it's just water getting into the camera. I think it got into the lens and it's making the light refract weird. But if it doesn't dry out and correct, then I need a new camera. But I was shooting a little bit of running around with colored tape. I have red and yellow colored tape because at the moment I have both mustard and daikon radish that are flowering and producing seed pods. Well, it's being nice and cooperative, isn't it? We're into like 10, 20. Anybody watching the weather map see how far away the storms are? It's gonna be fun. All right. So I was recording that, but the file got corrupted. But the radish seed pods are the interesting thing. They're not as big around as my pinky, but they're almost as big around as my pinky. This is daikon radish, right? Going to flower, producing seed pods, and I'm marking them with red tape. Red is for radish, and the yellow is for mustard. I don't have mauve. I guess I could use mauve. Mauve would be for mustard. Yellow is for mustard. Red is for radish. And I'm just taking the little bits of flagging tape and tying it off around the plants while I can still identify them by flowers and leaves and everything, because they're going to be finished with that seeding here pretty soon. The daikon radishes, all I want for them is for them to die. I planted them there so that they can grow and then die. Their job is to grow, make a great big old taproot, push down into that clay, die, rot, feed the soil. That's all they're supposed to do. But they're making these really, really big seed pods. I want to save the seeds so I can plant them again and do the same trick all over again. I'm using them out there in the corn patch to take care of my plowing. I don't want to have to run a rototiller or double dig or work the spading fork or a broad fork. I remember what the word for that big fork was, broad fork. I don't have one. But I don't want to have to use one every time I'm working there. And if I can use the radish for what it does, then I can let the plant take care of keeping my soil loosened and aerated for me. And that seems to be a lot more effective use of my time. I can just sprinkle some seeds here and then gather the seed pods whenever they're done and replant them later. As I was saying, the seed pods about as big as my pinky, and they're kind of like if you ever eaten sweet peas out of the pod, like sugar peas, in the pod, you eat the whole thing, pod and all, and it's sweet, and it's juicy, and it's very, very tasty. They're kind of like that. They're sweet, they're juicy, but they have a little bit of a radish burn to them. So you're eating these seed pods. They're not woody. They're huge. but they're tender and juicy. And I'm thinking, wow. I mean, they're good raw. These should be good sautéed. You could probably pickle them, but I'm saving the seeds because I have to plant more of these. Brian's saying a lot of Minnesota locals don't like northern pike. I like it. What you do is bake it heavy, bone soft. That would be a good video. Yeah, my granddad used to use a pressure cooker on carp, and he catch big carp, get them, purge them for put them in a tank full of clean water for a week so that they could get everything out of their system before he cut them up and pressure cook them, and then he'd run that down to the orphanage and yeah, you may not like pressure cooked carp, but it'll keep you alive and it's free. Probably be good to have some good vegetables to go along with that. Then the kids will really appreciate the vegetables too. Vicky says she still has nightmares trying to get the bones out of northern pike. Yeah. Vicky's saying, in her opinion, it's a major benefit of radishes that they are annuals. Right. If I don't want to plant it, if I don't need to plant it, I don't have to. Periodically planting mustard, brassica, is good for purging nematodes from an area. If you start having root rot nematode problems like that, plant brassicas. So mustards, great thing. I have a perennial mustard in the form of Turkish rocket, which hopefully I'll get some more of, and I'm going to try to save some seed from that if I can. It looks like the seed pods are very, very small on that one, but we want to see if they make good seeds for seasoning. The mustards I've got planted out front right now, I didn't plant them for greens. They make perfectly good greens. You could eat the greens. I could be eating them right now and not. But mainly the reason I got them is because I like mustard seed for a seasoning. I really like mustard seed for a seasoning. So I want to have mustard growing so I can have a source of mustard seed. So we grew those out there basically in the rotation periodically. Whenever some place has been used, has had a lot of stuff growing in it previously, a lot of use. We'll throw mustard in there every few years. Let mustard go to work, kill off any nematodes that might be in there, gather the seeds. That's seasoning for us, and carrying on. The hoverflies love it. The pollinators love it, and they look pretty. little yellow flowers popping up in the spring, kind of in between everything. The daylilies haven't started to pop yet. The daffodils are done, right? The daffodils are done. Daylilies haven't started. We need something. With flowers. So mustard and radishes blossoming and flowering, that's fine. It's starting to rain now. It's kind of light out. Light rain. Vicky says the radish seed pods are delicious. I agree. I ate a few and then decided I needed to stop because if I didn't, we're not going to have any seeds. And this is interesting about Vicky's talking in chat. If you can't read the chat about nasturtium, I tried them, and I didn't really like them. I didn't like the nasturtium so much. It's odd. I kind of like the peppery flavor of the radish seed pod, but the nasturtium, it's just, I don't know. It's an awful lot. It reminds me an awful lot of watercress, and it reminds me an awful lot of shepherd's purse, Bursa capsulis, and we have a lot of Bursa capsulis. It's too much Bursa capsulis. Occasionally, I'll have one that pops up that just grows really vigorously, and I'll look at it and go, You just really, 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 really want to grow here today, don't you? All right, fine. I'll let you grow up. You can grow, and they'll shoot up and get big. I've got one over here on this side, just one. I let one grow because I figured some of these weeds, they're here for a reason. If you allow them to grow, if you allow a few, right, to grow, then the seeds stay in the seed bank. The day comes that the land needs the aid of this hero that has been sleeping in the soil. This hero will rise, right? And it'll do the thing that it's there for, whether it's Canadian thistle or red-ringed pigweed or what have you. And pardon me a second, we're gonna need to move the camera. Yeah. Can you hear the rain? There. Hi, everybody. You're joining us here in northeastern Oklahoma at about 10:25 Central Standard Time. Okay. We're talking about the future of food. Oi! As a band of thunderstorms passes over us once again. These repeating bands of thunderstorms have prevented me from being able to make any video content outside for the past whole stinking week. I'm going crazy in the house. But I managed to grab a few things and bring them in to show you. You guys to tune in early, got to watch me eat fresh fruits and berries. I showed off seedling cannas grown from seed. You guys can't hear a word, can you? The rain's starting to come down. Pardon me. Let me get in close. Do you guys hear it, or is the rain just too loud? The rain's too loud, isn't it? Billy's asking if eggplants are supposed to have a few spines on them. There's Solanaceae, and spines on Solanaceae, it's not uncommon. For example, you get spines on the Trumpet belladonna. So having spines on an eggplant wouldn't be unusual. I mean, I wouldn't think so. Have your eggplant crossbred with your belladonnas. Actually, I do have a belladonna right over there. It's where the poppies were growing last year. I don't see any poppies this year. Poppies just don't want to seem to grow here, I guess. We got some. They like really calciferous soils, and we have a little bit in spots, but it's not great. It's not great. Billy says, I was shocked to get poked. I had to look twice. I mean, yeah, spines do occur in Solanaceae. So an eggplant with spines is, I guess. Ooh. You guys hearing the thunder now? You might get some thunder. If it was light outside, you'd be able to watch the storms. One of the great joys of living here in Oklahoma is being able to watch the storms. Unfortunately, living in Zoomy kitties. Unfortunately, living on the river bottom, the hills on either side block out the view, so you don't get to see very far. So you can kind of get a view of what's coming off in the way far distance, but none of it ever gets to us. Darn it. Of course, the bright side is it doesn't get to us unless it's one of those really, really big monsters and it just happens to come roaring right up the valley, in which case there's not a whole lot you can do. There would not be a building standing, but it's hard for them to get formed in the valley simply because we don't have the topography that will let them spin up. You know how they say whenever you're in a tornado and you're out on the road, don't hide under the bridges, hide in the ditches. We're in a big ditch. Big ditch. Thunder. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't play the guitar for you because this microphone will just make it sound like crud. Yeah. For the latecomers, I showed off some of the things that are flowering out there right now. For the latecomers, Achillea milliforum, common yarrow, right here, medicinal herb, fever reliever, and styptic, stops blood flow, analgesic. Also, apparently relieves pain on contact as an analgesic. Not a strong pain reliever, mind you, but the Lewis and Clark report said that the guy that got gored, or maybe it was speared, I don't know. He had a tear in his leg, torn open. They packed the leaves of the yarrow into it, and he managed to endure the affair with no complaints of pain, which is impressive. But use the leaves for stopping blood flow and brew a tea as a fever reducer and analgesic, pain reliever off over there. Pollinators love it, and we've got tons of it, and it spreads so easy. This one is buckwheat. It's an annual, and we use this as a as a sponge, a trap for fertility, excess fertility, too much nitrogen, too much phosphorus, too much whatever. This soaks it up, and then whenever the plant's done, when it decomposes, puts it right back in the soil. In the meantime, produces an edible seed that you can use as a substitute for grain. Showed you guys the wheat that's coming on right now. Oh, I figured it out. I maybe I'd mentioned it on Mary's channel. Mary's here. Hi, Mary. That noticed that some of the wheat where the ducks were grazing didn't have grain heads yet, but wheat just outside did. And the question was, does that mean that the ducks were eating the grain heads? No, the ducks aren't eating the grain heads. They haven't started eating the grain heads. The grain heads, even whenever they're at this stage, whenever they're green, that those hairs on them are still stiff and fibers. I guess the ducks don't like them. But since the ducks have been grazing on the tender bits, they're retarded, set back by about a week or two. And so the ones that are out of the duck yard already have fully formed grain. The ones that are in the duck yard where the ducks have access to them, they're just starting to form. All right. So we're going to have wheat, is what I'm saying, as part of our food. We have corn. We're going to have corn. We're going to have wheat. We're going to have ducks, duck eggs. Great stuff. We're going to add rabbits before too awfully long because, red meat, it goes good in stew. Canna lilies, great for a starchy vegetable, but, it's nice to have some meat. Rabbit's a good source of meat. Rabbits like alfalfa. This is alfalfa. This grows here. This grows everywhere, especially whenever you take the time to plant it. I mixed about 2 or 3 different varieties of alfalfa, 2 or 3 different varieties of clover. And then whenever I do cover crop seeding, I throw this stuff down. Alfalfa is a perennial plant. It's a perennial plant. Go to the feed store, go to the home and garden store, buy a bag of alfalfa pellets. By all means, use it to supercharge your compost. Use it to feed your soil. All the stuff they say about it is true. However, if you only buy the bags of pellets, you're shortchanging yourself because you could be growing this. You can be growing this right alongside everything else. You can be growing this in between everything else. And whenever it gets too big, whenever there's too much of it, the bumblebees love these purple flowers. They love them. The honeybees not so much. They're more like a snapdragon flower. They bop the bee on the top of the head, the little honeybees, whenever they come in and try to get into them. But the bumblebees love them, and the native pollinators love them. The wasps love them. So pollinators, other than honeybees, honeybees get enough attention. And growth hormone from this plant, lots of nitrogen from this plant. And whenever it gets too big, you cut it back. And it goes, hey, cool, I got cut back. I'm going to grow more plant. and that's more fertilizer. You're growing fertilizer. It's just a crop that you can grow as a perennial. You don't even have to think about it once you've got it established. You just cut it back whenever it gets too big. Yay. All right. Hi, Bill. There we go. So that's it. Those are some of the things that we've got growing. Yarrow is one of those plants, perennials. Sorry, this is the yarrow. Yarrow is one of those perennial plants that does a good job at breaking up clay soil. So it's out there breaking up clay soil, feeding pollinators. Buckwheat, soaking up excess fertility, putting it back in the soil when it decomposes, giving us a cereal grain. Food for people, food for animals. You can feed everything with that. Alfalfa, food for not for your ducks. The ducks don't like to eat it, but food for rabbits. Ducks will eat buckwheat. Both the greens, I imagine they probably eat the grain too, but we probably want to run that through the grist mill and into the pelletizer before feeding it to them. You feed them with pellets, they'll eat just about anything, except for alfalfa. They didn't like. I gave them alfalfa pellets. They didn't like it. I thought I'd try because alfalfa pellets were cheaper than the duck feed, and there's close to the same amount of protein. They're going into the season where they can get bugs. So if they have bugs for supplemental protein, maybe the alfalfa, this is cheaper than their regular food, would be good. So I bought alfalfa pellets. They don't like them. The ducks don't like them at all. So anyway, but for compost activator to feed your garden,
And to feed other things aside from ducks, alfalfa is awesome. There we go. So that's what we got going on. The future of food. The future of food is grow your own. Grow your own and try to grow your own inputs, your own fertilizer, grow your own things to attract the pollinators, things to attract the predators, things to keep your pests under control. Try to work on your self-reliance as much as possible. I think I've demonstrated you can get good calories out of a small amount of space in a garden, and a lot of it's perennial. I'm shooting for about 50% food production. What I mean is about 50% of everything that I'm planting and growing should produce something you can eat, whether you eat it or not. Should produce something you can eat. Now, just because you don't happen to want to eat it doesn't mean that it gets wasted. For example, we've got lots of pokeweed out, right? And pokeweed is loaded with protein. Really, really early in the spring, those little greens that pop up before the plant starts to be purple, you can eat those, and they won't kill you. Once they start to make you purple, you got to boil them and change the water. Of course, that means you lose most of the nutrients too, so it's kind of self-defeating. Yeah, sure, there's nutrients, but you got rid of the toxicity, you got rid of the nutrients too, so you're kind of wasting your time there. Whenever they first come up and they're green, no purple, there you go. They're great then. Besides that, you can take it, chop it, drop it. That protein, whenever it decomposes, remember, you're not the only thing that can consume this. The microbes in the soil, the bacteria, the fungi, they can consume that protein too, and they're not going to worry so much about the toxicity. So they break that down. Protein breaks down into nitrogen. Fertilizer feeds your soil. So just because something isn't a nitrogen fixer like the alfalfa is, doesn't mean that it can't be used to feed your soil. Everything feeds your soil if it's living and it's growing and it's striving to produce. Yeah. The gummy berries, for example, that's a nitrogen fixer. Produce berry. Billy's going to bed. Yay. Mary's in Topeka. How is it up there, Mary? Is it spooky? Is it scary? Is the wind howling? Is it wild and hairy on the prairie? Indiana Backyard Gardener is here. Hello, Indiana Backyard Gardener. Hi. How you doing? I'm overly long on the catio. I didn't go live on Wednesday, and I didn't post a video today because if you can hear in the background, rain. It's raining. I can't take the camera out in the yard and show you anything. It's been like this all week. Oh, been like this all darn week. We get a very brief break in the rain. Even whenever there's a break in the rain, you're still getting drops coming down from the trees. They're shedding water everywhere. So it's not raining, but it's still raining. We're turning into a temperate rainforest here. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe one day it will be a temperate rainforest. I'll just have to do everything with waterproof cameras. Oh, speaking of which, I do have a waterproof camera right now. I forgot. This is like Associated News, right? A while back, I was talking about taking steps to protect the neighborhood cats so they can work in the garden and hunt mice and rats and stuff like that, gophers, without having to worry about being attacked by the neighbor that likes to sing dogs on cats. Well, I've got the cat tractor. I've got the thing. I put it together. Well, it's mostly put together. Called on account of rain. I'm putting the netting on it right now. Well, whenever it's not raining on me. And I got a waterproof camera because we want to make sure that nobody gets up to any shenanigans. To keep an eye on the cat tractor. And I got a Trump 2024 banner because walls save lives to put up on the side of the cat tractor. So the entire thing, hopefully we'll have it up and streaming under Bilbo T. Baggins is the YouTube channel. So people will be able to tune in and watch cats play in the garden inside a protective shelter with a Trump 2024 banner on the side of the cat tractor. So there may be people coming up to go and pose for selfies along with the cats. Who knows? We'll see. Yeah, Bilbo is this guy. Sometimes I call him Bill. Hey, Bill. Hey, Bill. Bill. Is this a wheat plant or is this a cat toy? This is a wheat plant or a cat toy. It's either a wheat plant or a cat toy. Which one is it? Which one is it? Which one is it? Hi, Betty. Betty's standing. Where's Bill? There you are. Hi, Bill. Hi. This is Bill. Oh, pardon me. Sorry, Bill. I'm sorry. Here. Oh, he took off. I was going to pick him up and show you, but he kind of turned around in midair and flopped out. Bilbo. His name is Bilbo T. Baggins. T, capital T. T's has been the initial T. Baggins. And sometimes we call him Bill for short, but it's not short for Wilhelm. It's actually short for Bill. Vicky's saying one thing that was not fun was tap dancing a bobtail day cab across ice through construction on I-40 at 2 a.m. Oh, so you used to drive for a living, huh? Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. I tell you what, I hate driving. I hate driving. Ooh. I got a Sergeant Kitty at the window or at the door. He probably wants to get let in before the fireworks start. Let me see here. You guys don't mind. I'm gonna come over here real quick. I'm gonna come over here, and you're probably gonna hear me for a second. There we go. Okay. Had to bring this up on YouTube because what am I looking for? Microsoft weather. There we go. It says heavy rain, 73 degrees, thunderstorms, wind. There's the I want to see this map, and then whenever I get it up here on the screen, I'm going to share the screen with you. So give me just a second here. I'll show you what our local weather map looks like before we sign off. And of course, whenever you see the local weather map, you'll understand why we're getting ready to sign off. Yeah, we're not gonna we're gonna be signing off here in a minute. Let's share screen. Microsoft weather map. There we go. Let me take a look here and put myself in a tiny little corner over here. There we go. Now we can look at the weather map. That looks great. Oh, look, ads. Nobody likes ads. I don't want to see this ad. Here. There we go. That looks better. Get rid of the ads entirely. All right. So zoom out here. This is the interactive map. It says now coming up on 10:30 or at 10:30 right there. This little dot here is Tulsa. If I zoom in a bit, Sand Springs is right here. That's Mora Road. See, that's 57th. Let's see. Oh my gosh. That's River Parks East. Okay. Trying to find my house. It's right around here. There's 3rd Street, 1st Street. There we go. So we are. I can't see what street this is. Okay, it says 57. That's West 33rd, 57th. I should see 65th around here somewhere, right? There's the Arkansas River. Oh, that's the Sand Springs Lake. That's right up the street from us. Okay, so somewhere right around here. That's where we are, right? Right around here, where this green band is. Let's pull out a little bit. I'm going to zoom out. You guys watching this? All right. You guys are watching this. Okay, so right in this little green area right here. Right about here. See how the river bends around up on this side of us? So a tornado would either have to come around, jump over the hills, or would have to get around on this side of the river. River bends up here, and then come around this way. So you notice how the storm is kind of making its way around. Well, hopefully it'll keep doing that. Hopefully, but you'll see how much storm has to get around. Okay, zooming out. You see, that's my spot right there. That's where we're at. Okay, let's advance the clock a little bit from now to 11. Still in green, looks like. Yay. By 11:30. So by 11:30, we should be in the middle of that. That doesn't look. That doesn't look encouraging. That looks like some heavy stuff. Yep. So almost 11. We got about a half hour before it gets here. Let me zoom back out. Stop the share. There we go. Yay. So that's what's coming up here. Joe's asking, there's a big river flowing through there, Arkansas River. Yes, it's the Arkansas River. Yep. It's the Arkansas River, and it's nestled in between ridges that were cut whenever the Laurentide ice sheet broke up. And it's just the cut channels there. The hills are on either side, and they're going to be there forever, pretty much. And plus, we have full glaciation all over again, and something else can carve out the landscape and change it. So it's pretty much permanent. Yep. But that way, the river bends before it comes here. Storms have to go out and around, or out and around the other way for the most part before they can form up. But yeah, it's spooky out on the plains. It's not quite so spooky here, but once you top the hill on either side of the valley, you can just watch. you can watch Mother Nature send it. It's great sometimes to see the storms. It's a lot more fun whenever you know you're in a spot that's less likely to get hit. But there's a lot of folks that live in places that they didn't pay close attention before they built cities and townships and such in those spots. Overall, if the sky isn't turning green, I'm not going to the shelter. That's my criteria. The sky has to be turning green. If I see the sky turning green, I'm going to the shelter, because that means that the storm's got enough energy in itself that it can do whatever the heck it wants to, regardless of what the terrain says. Anyway. Yeah, I know you do, Brian. You live in Freezer Chickasaw territory up there in Minnesota. And you still get the howling wind, as I understand it, right? You get the howlers up there, 2 or 3 hours, or even a whole day at a time, where it's just nothing but nonstop wind going, or screaming trees sideways. Straight winds. Tornadoes get a bad rap. They do. Tornadoes get a bad rap, but straight winds are actually the scariest thing. And we're probably going to lose power. So if all of a sudden we drop because we lost internet, we lost power, you'll know what happened. But the straight winds, we had a howler a few months back, and there was maybe like an hour or two that it was just nerve wracking. I was just sitting here, gosh, the roof is going to come off anytime because it was that bad. I opened up the door, I looked outside, and for like whenever you could see light because it was pitch black during the day, pitch black. Whenever the lightning flashed, you could see something. You could see the trees were almost sideways. I mean, sideways, blowing sideways, and just when the wind's that high, you could strip off a piece of sheet metal off the roof and slice it right through you in a second. And there were roofs further to the west of us in Sand Springs, the town that you saw on the radar map. There were some roofs there that lost the buildings that lost their roofs, and some of those are sheet metal, and some of those pieces just zing through the air. Whenever it's howling like that, stay indoors, take shelter, and don't go outside. Debris can kill you. But tornadoes, oddly enough, a lot of them miss. A lot of them miss. But the straight line winds are just terrifying. Brian says, "Oh, you get the howlers too? They go for just hours on end and they don't stop. And it's just sheer terror because you know you can't walk out in that. It's not a tornado, it's just the wind blowing." But people go, "Oh, it's a twister, the twister is scary." Yeah, sure. They're scary, but they're predictable for the most part. I mean, you can tell once you've been around them long enough, you can tell where they're going to go. They have habits. The wind, though, it doesn't care. It hits you when it's going to hit you. Nah, if the wind god didn't come every February and March, the prickly pear harvest wouldn't be as good. Yay! You gotta have your nopales. Speaking of which, I now have 3 prickly pear cacti. I have 3. We have the 2 that were out front, and then when I was making that new garden extension, some of the soil is right there next to the old driveway, and it is lousy. I mean, it is horrible. I mean, horrible. Clay, rock, sand. That's it. That's all you got. No organic matter. It wants to set up to concrete itself if it doesn't have anything going on. So I went, okay. I was trimming up around the other cacti and broke off one of the pads. And the easiest way to get a prickly pear to start is to take a pad, turn it on its side, and then half bury it, and then let it go. And so we did, and it did, and now we've got 3. Got 3 prickly pears. And prickly pears, you can let them grow. You can eat the fruit. You let the fruit get. I heard this from Brendan. He grew up with them in East Texas or West Texas, right? If you let them go to the point where they turn purple, the seeds get hard. If you get them whenever they're still green, the fruits are still sweet, but the seeds aren't as hard, and you can eat the seeds. So that might be good to know. Other than that, you take the fruits and you juice them. You can juice them and ferment the juice, make a little hooch out of them. You can make preserves out of the fruits, and of course the pads themselves. When you pull the pads off, singe the little tiny hair-like spines off, and then use your knife to scrape the big ones off, and then you cut the pads up into strips. And those are good pickled as well, and apparently people eat them fresh too. Sautéed, high in potassium. If you like something that has potassium, and you can't grow bananas because it's not the right climate, but prickly pear cactus will grow. Hey, source of potassium. There you go. Yeah. Vicky said one of the things you learn early in Minnesota, when clouds turn green, you're in trouble. Take shelter. Same out here. If the sky's turning green, then yeah, I'm taking shelter because there's too much energy in that storm, and it doesn't care what you think. it does not care about your weather forecast and your projections and and what you believe. It's just wearing the pants. All right, we just got quiet and soft rain right now. That's all we got is some quiet and soft rain, but we're about a half an hour from the heavy stuff getting here. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down and put the computer away and disconnect a whole bunch of stuff so we don't get power surges because we're probably going to lose power for a little bit. Yeah, we're going to lose power. It's going to happen. We're going to lose power. I'm aware this is going to happen. Make sure I've got my flashlights and my hurricane lamps and stuff ready. We'll be safe. We're going to get a lot of rain. We're going to get some heavy wind. We might get some wind damage. Probably will not get hit by a tornado. Probably. So hopefully we'll be here tomorrow. And if we are, I'll put something in comments or put something on the community tab or something. Pop into your live streaming and say hi to you. I wish I had video to show you, but I can't shoot any. It's been raining all week, guys. All week long. I'm going to go crazy if I can't get out in the garden and do something. That's all I got for you tonight. Hope you found the video informative or entertaining. If you did, you know what to do. I'll catch you next time. If you're catching the replay, check down below for our Shopify tab for the stuff that's for sale. I do still have some trees that are up for sale. $15 each on Shopify on our Shopify store. $15 each for black locust and for red buds. If they don't go out within the next week, I'm going to take them down. But we do have a few left for sale. And of course, Big Horse Spotted Corn. $15 gets you. It was 464 ounces. No, 64, not 464. 400 seeds or 64 ounces. That was it. 400 seeds or 64 ounces. It is 64 ounces, which is approximately 400 seeds. That's what it is. $15 plus like $5.25 shipping and handling. So it's like $20 for 400 seeds. Pretty good price for heirloom corn seed. We still have a few of those left. I don't have the bottle gourd seeds up for sale on Shopify. I don't have those. But we do have daylilies, pack of 9, $15 for a pack of 9 of the Hemrick House full of daylilies. And what else do we have that's up there right now that you can get? No, we sold out of cannas. Sorry, no cannas until next year. My bad. We had them. I'm going to have to change the offer on cannas because the roots, each rhizome weighed over a pound each. Yeah, Vicky, you should have. You're in the Ozarks. You should have some. You should have plenty growing wild. You have no need to buy any from me. Just go and grab your own. They grow like weeds. Thank goodness. The rhizomes for the cannas are too big. One, whenever I'm selling them for you to start from rhizome, one was about a pound each. So I had 3 in a pack. It was 3 pounds. Each pack was 3 pounds. Somebody gets 2 packs and it's already into 6 pounds plus packing material. Shipping starts getting expensive. So I'm probably going to, whenever I offer them up for sale again, I'm going to change the deal. The other nurseries are doing 2 for $15. Okay, that brings, because they weigh as much as they do, that makes it more sense. Or make more sense because I'm going to be paying about $8-9 on shipping more than likely. So yay. So next spring we have those up for sale. We'll have 2 for $15, unless we have some wonderful event occur that stimulates our economy. Some miracle events that might occur in November. I have no idea what might in the world happen that could pull us out of this morass. But if something wonderful happens and we have economic recovery, then they might be still 3 for $15. But we'll see. We will see. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I hope everything is well where you are. We're going to try to stay dry and hopefully our roof stays on. We'll catch you later. Good night, everyone.